Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and look who we found. That's right, friends. Mr. Blane Chocklett back in the studio. Blane, as always, man, great to have you here.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
In fact, we are launching a full weekend of chocolate factory filming. In fact, we're going to make so many videos about the chocolate factory, about Blane Chocklett, about chocolate factory flies that you're going to be sick of us. Nah, probably not. How could they get sick of the chocolate factory?
It's all about chocolate.
It's all about chocolate. Everybody loves chocolate. So anyhow, friends, today we're going to talk a little bit about Blane's original fly. This, if I'm right, that this is, I'm pretty sure that this is when I first heard your name. Sometime in the 90s, 98 or so?
98, I think, yep.
And these were originally marketed through Umpqua Feather Merchants. And I remember being at the Fly Tackle dealer show, and they had your Gummy Minnows all lined up in sardine tins, going, head to tail, head to tail, head to tail, and it was brilliant marketing.
Yeah, I wanted them to send them to shops like that, and yeah. I still have that original sardine can setup that they had at IFTD.
You know what? There's no reason Chocolate Factory could not bring that back.
I agree.
That would absolutely be, it was and could be just brilliant marketing and display for the store floor here at Mad River Outfitters or any of your fly shops. So tell us a little bit about, I know there's some stories without going in too far into depth, but tell us the story about how the Gummy Minnow came about. I know that Lefty helped you immensely with this, and maybe a little bit about the inspiration and how it came to be and became such a hit back in the late 90s.
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago. And, it was kind of that was my first big fly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, and it came to be me basically looking for that game changer style fly. I mean, this is the beginning of my journey through the Game Changer platform.
Right.
And, I was guiding a lot back then, not as much now, obviously. And, having a fly shop and doing the fly fishing shows and all that stuff, I got to meet a lot of my heroes, like Lefty and Clouser and Popovic's, and list goes on. And one of my big problems was occasionally I would have an angler that was fly fishing that would bring a friend, and they didn't fly fish. So I would just bring soft plastics, and this was smallmouth bass fishing, and I didn't have to worry about them because the soft plastics had all the triggers built into them, and throw it out, reel it in, stop it, pause it, whatever it may be, whether it be a fluke or a tube jig or a Cinco, it didn't matter. It just, they create those bites, right?
Right.
So my goal back then in the 90s was to create a fly that would have that type of action. So I met the right people in my life at the right time. And Bob's always talked about this, and I've always shared this, is a great fly design always comes from solving problems.
Yes, right.
And this was my problem to be solved. And I thought, well, if I could create this material that's super flexible, like the gummy is, you could stretch it twice, 3 times its original size, and it'll come back to that shape, right? You could even cut it in half, stick it back together, and it's good to go. So not getting into the design of it and all, I thought when I created this fly and I finally got the materials to put it all together, I already had the fly in my mind. It took me 3 minutes to tie it.
Right.
And I thought this was going to be the answer. And I happened to be going to Cape Lookout, North Carolina for the fall false albacore run. And Tom Earnhardt always had a party with Jones Brothers boats. And the who's who of fly fishing would be at that event. And it was just a great time. And I would host a trip down there for a week and bring clients down. The who's who of fly fishing would come to that. All the editors, all the rod designers from Sage, you name it. It was just one of those deals before the internet where everybody got together and enjoyed themselves. Lefty was always there. Popovic's was always there. And knowing that, and I hadn't had a chance to fish the fly yet, but I tied probably 300 or 400 of them. And, you know, I've been going down to Cape Lookout for years, and the albies, I knew they ate glass minnows, bay anchovies,
Right.
you know, could be whatever that bait might be, and it might range from an inch long up to four inches long. So I tied all those different. I knew if anyone would understand what it would be Popovic's.
Right.
Because he always thought outside the box. And I've told this story many times. I get to the party, sun setting, I see Bob, hand him to him, tell him my story. Long story short, he says, I'll be back in a second. So I'm in line. It was a pig picking. They did a whole hog. So getting your barbecue. He came back a few minutes later, said, follow me. So I followed him. Seas are parting, sun setting, the floodlights come on, and it's in the backyard right on the intercoastal. And in the middle, holding court's Lefty. And he goes right up to Lefty. He goes, this is the guy that made this fly. And Lefty's wanting to know all about it like he always did. And, you know, his famous thing is like, well, how does it work? I was like, Lefty, I've actually never fished a fly in my life. He goes, oh, this is going to be like rolling a wine bottle in a jail cell, which is one of his favorite jokes.
It was.
And he spearheaded it all, to be honest. And it was thankful for Bob loved it too. And I explained to him how I made it and all that. He goes, this is as much of a fly as a popper is.
Sure.
Or anything for that matter. And Lefty did too. And he was on the board with IGFA, and he goes, I would certify this as a fly, no problem. So he said, do you mind if I have some? And I'm like, sure, take them. And I gave him a bunch. And a couple days later, I got a call from Umpqua Feather Merchants saying, Lefty called us. He said, well, you evidently have the next big fly. And he goes, we want 6 colors, 3 sizes, and whatever. So that's a lot of SKUs. And that's kind of how I got my big break in fly design.
Yeah.
Through those guys.
Well, and that's an amazing story. And leave it to Bob Popovic, whom I know was a dear, dear friend of yours.
Yep.
And we lost him last fall, and dearly miss him. But his legacy will always live on, as will Lefty's. But also leave it to Lefty to make it happen. So the Gummy Minnow is tied with a material which you are also known for. This is Chocklett's silly skin. And the silly skin, friends, these flies are so much fun to make. I mean, you do lay some thread, and of course the thread is going to hold the fly in at the head, but you just trim your body shape, or you trim your underbody shape, or at least you can, with one of the colors.
Yep, I call it fly construction.
Yeah.
So you're basically building the inner wall and then building it out from there.
Right, exactly. So they've got some lead wraps or lead-free wraps on the hook shanks to give them some weight. You've got your underbody color or even your back color there. So you can put a back color. You could put even a mid color, just using the different, call it opaque silly skin, or excuse me, gummy. This is gummy skin.
Gummy skin, silly skin.
Okay.
It's been called a variety of things, but the original name is silly skin.
That's what I thought. That's what I keep saying, silly skin. The silly skin, and then you're going to take one of the transparent colors, the mother of pearl or something, and that's going to be your overlay to give you the full and complete body shape.
Yep, and you can pretty much mimic a lot of different varieties of bait fish. You know, I've got shrimp patterns that I've done with these. I've done crab patterns with this type of material. I mean, it's the material that you can do this with. The great thing about it is it's a self-adhesive, and it also, like I said, you can cut this fly in half, stick it back together, and go back fishing.
Wow. Well, I know people that, and of course, instantly after seeing them in 1998, I mean, I bought some at the show or took some home. I think they were handing out some samples for fly shop owners. I took a bunch home, started fishing them, started catching largemouth. I was guiding a lot at the wilds at the time. I was catching largemouth on them. I was catching smallmouth on them. And then I got my hands on some of the silly skin and I started making them, and I started making a little larger profile to imitate baby bass. because a lot of the big bass out at the wilds especially, I even think I made a bluegill pattern out of one once tied on a big old stinger hook. So, I mean, you can just let your imagination run wild with, you can even incorporate some feathers into
Sure.
these.
And I make a spoon minnow out of those that I really like a lot. Just like a dying bait that looks just like the bait and flutters as it falls.
Which, as you know, also became one of my favorite flies. And my daddy's favorite fly. God, my dad absolutely loves those things. So the super easy, and there's more you can do with this silly skin or gummy skin. I came up with, a few years back, I just brainstormed and came up with this crane fly imitation.
Yep.
And it took me a bunch of iterations and playing around with different, but there's a little bit of foam, there's a little bit of, no, there's not foam anymore. I've got a bunch of lead or just, weight under there. And then I took kind of a gray chenille, and then I took an olive vernille, like a micro chenille, and went over top to give it the rib, which I think just gives it a little bit of segmented look. And then I took this, what color is it? The seafoam green.
Yep.
The seafoam green, which, you know what's funny? We sell a lot of this stuff because we did a video on this, so we sell a lot of the seafoam green, and about half the people email us and say, "Hey, you sent me the wrong color."
Yep. Unfortunately, when we first started making the material, the backing that we got to protect the adhesive was white. So now it's red.
Now it's red.
And no matter what you put on it, it looks red.
So everybody thinks, "Hey, I ordered seafoam green. The package says seafoam green, but you sent me red." No, it's actually seafoam green. And then I just folded it over, and then I came over top with a thin wire to give it that segmentation, and then a bone dry UV epoxy.
Yep.
And just hit it with the light. And man, that thing now
Bomb-proof.
it's not articulated and it's not going to undulate. I've seen a couple patterns since I came up with this that I really like that undulate a little bit more. But as far as you put that right up next to a crane fly in your hand, that thing is dead on.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
All kinds of things you can do with this silly skin. So the good news is that the Chocklett factory is also now going to be, which if you're not familiar, Blane, along with several of our very close friends, is the Chocklett factory. I'm not sure if you put the name together there, but anyhow. The Chocklett factory is going to be producing these. I'm guessing that we're going to have some different colors and different sizes, so we'll be expanding on it. These are currently marketed by another brand. We won't mention any names, but that's okay. So they're available now, but will soon be available through the original Chocklett factory. And we all know that what's the saying? Say it.
Are you fishing real chocolate?
Are you fishing real chocolate? Make sure that it's got the Chocklett factory label on there. Anything else is imitation chocolate. So anyhow, there you have it, friends. The story, one of that launched Blane Chocklett to be a household name. You're right up there with, we won't mention Jeffrey Epstein. Household name. Anyhow, we'll cut that part. So anyhow, friends, there you have it. The fly that launched Blane Chocklett into basically a household name, and now even more so here at Mad River Outfitters with the inception of the Chocklett factory, which is now approximately 2 years old.
Yep.
Congratulations. Things are going well, which we're going to talk about in a future video. So a neat little story about the Gummy Minnow, which is maybe not as popular these days as it was back when it first came out. But you know what? I think Justin Timberlake brought sexy back. I think we're going to bring Gummy Minnows back.
There you go.
As always, friends, thanks to Blane Chocklett for being here in the studio. We always appreciate him and always enjoy and look forward to his visits. So we're going to be filming all weekend. We've got a bunch of stuff coming for you. We're going to be on the water for a couple of days and hanging around a campfire and having a barbecue tomorrow night. So we'll come at you, we'll check in from there. So as always, friends, we appreciate you being here. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out. Hit the like button. That makes us feel good. Hop on over to our website. Register for our monthly newsletter, and that way when new chocolate factory flies and fly tying materials hit the market, you'll be the first to know. Thanks as always for being here.